What's up?
Hello.
Welcome back. How are you?
I'm good. This is Hot for Justice. I'm gonna start it off from the beginning.
We're coming in hot.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
I got it together. Oh, the pun was intended for sure.
I mean, maybe.
And,
I will not confirm nor deny.
Right. That's Jamie over there.
And that's Jessica, in case you were unaware.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that rhymed again. We're good at this.
I know. We are on a roll. We're getting our lives together, you guys. We're feeling good about this going into the new year. We've got big goals.
The biggest goals.
Yes. Including maybe some t-shirts.
I think definitely some t-shirts.
Some merch, yeah.
Maybe some sweatshirts, I don't know. Tank tops, whatever
so.
type of shirt situation your heart desires.
Yes. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think we just need to find like some sort of place to make them.
Yeah.
That's currently the biggest obstacle.
Yes.
And maybe some designs.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we've been doing this for almost a year now. Isn't that wild?
Oh my gosh, that is wild.
What is it, April 15th? Was that when we launched?
Yeah, it was our first.
That's wild.
April. I know. That is.
Can you believe?
Nope.
And now we have, all these subscribers and people listening to us, and honestly, I'm shook.
And thank you all. I know.
Yeah, for real.
I really didn't think anyone would listen. I think I've said that before.
Literally same. But here we are, and here you all are.
Yes.
So.
Yes. And Jamie's about to tell you about a murder.
I am about to tell you about it. Well, maybe. It's a disappearance.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Hit me.
There's potentially death involved, but who really knows?
True.
So this comes from my favorite website in God's green earth, Wikipedia.com.
Oh, yes. Once we said, once we start getting paid, we're going to donate to Wikipedia.
And spoiler alert, somewhere in the middle of this, we're going to have a sponsorship.
Yes.
But we'll talk about that when we get there.
Yes.
We're not ready for that yet.
Not yet, but we're excited about it.
In a few moments, you'll hear all about it. Okay, so this is the disappearance of Stephen Kosher. I think that's how you say his last name. If not, I thoroughly apologize.
Okay.
So midday on December 13th of 2009, Stephen Kosher, born November 1st of 1979, got out of his car, parked at the end of a cul-de-sac in the Anthem neighborhood of Henderson, Nevada, United States. An action that was recorded on a nearby home security camera. After returning shortly afterwards, he retrieved something from the vehicle and then walked away. Another security camera capturing his reflection from a car window. He has not been seen since, although some activity was recorded on his cell phone over the next 2 days. His absence from his work, home, and church activities in St. George, Utah was not noted for several days. Eventually, the Homeowners Association of Anthem, where he had parked, got in touch with his employer, and then his parents about the abandoned car, and he was reported missing. Police had a few leads at first, since it appeared as he had intended to return to St. George and did not appear to be involved in any sort of criminal activities. The reason for his trip to the Las Vegas area that day had never been determined. His family believes that he had maybe been looking for work since he could not make full rent payments on his apartment with a job he had at the time. Searches in the area where he was last seen yielded zero evidence. Further investigation found credit card and cell phone receipts and witness statements showing that in the week prior to his disappearance, he had been driving great distances around Utah and Nevada, including almost 1,100 miles in one day. The purpose of these trips is also unknown. On one trip, he stopped to visit a former girlfriend's parents and had lunch at their house. Josh Powell, a West Valley City man suspected of murder in his wife Susan's disappearance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I listened to the podcast Cold about that, and it's so sad, but it's just mind-boggling, actually.
I actually don't know too much about it. I do want to watch that thing on, it's Hulu or HBO, I don't remember.
Yeah.
For me, it's all the same, but...
Yeah. It's interesting. I've watched one from Oxygen about her after the podcast, which most of it was just stuff that's on the podcast already, but it's interesting to hear it.
Is that the one
and see it
where the wife went missing and there was 2 kids too or something?
Yes.
And the 2 kids were found dead, or right?
Yeah.
Or am I making that up?
What happened was that he was suspected of murdering his wife, and then the police could never prove it, so he moved from Utah back to Washington, where he was from, and with the kids, and he ended up losing custody of them for a while. And on one of his home visits, he took the kids inside and locked this person who was supposed to supervise the visit out.
Holy shit.
He then proceeded to murder his kids, and he blew their house up.
So this is that guy. Okay.
Them all, yeah.
Holy fucking shit.
It's so sad. The kids are really young, and...
Yeah, weren't they like 2 and 4 or some shit like that?
Yeah, they were, yeah.
Good God.
It's really sad.
Okay, yeah. We should do a recap. That.
Yeah.
I think it's on... I want to say it's Hulu, and then maybe it's like an ID thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's it, though.
Okay. Well, we can look at it, but...
Yeah, I digress.
Anyways.
I mean, what else is new?
Yeah.
So, the Powell family and his family has dismissed that there's any sort of, like, connection. So, there was, there was a very, like, small belief that he had maybe, like, ran off with Susan Powell. But there's, like, literally zero evidence, and it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Especially because Josh Powell probably definitely killed Susan.
Oh, yeah. Like, even the kid was like, yeah, we left mommy. Or, you know, like, he said something really creepy like that. And it's like, yeah, no, she's definitely was murdered by her husband.
Yeah, like, or he, like, knows something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's weird that, what's your guy's name?
Stephen Kosher.
Okay. That's weird that he was driving so much and, like, driving around so randomly.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, I know, like, Utah and Nevada are, like, adjacent to each other.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, he literally was just, like, driving all around, like, again, allegedly maybe looking for work, but no one really knows. It's very weird and convoluted. Like, he's kind of, like, a quirky dude, but, like, this kind of makes zero sense. Like, why he's, like, just, like, bopping around. And again, like, driving 1,100 miles in one day.
That's all real, like, no.
Like, without stopping, like, I think that you'd have to drive, like, most of the day.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Like, I don't... Because
if you put it into perspective, what, like, LA is, like, 300 or 400 miles...
I'm looking it up right now.
Here.
San Francisco to LA. So San Francisco to LA is 383 miles. And that's a 5-hour and 45-minute drive.
Yeah.
So this is, what, 3 times that much?
Driving, yeah.
So this is like 15, 16 hours worth of driving easily.
No way.
If my math checks out, which it might. I don't know.
Maybe. You all know it's not our strong suit, so.
Oh, absolutely not.
All right, we had to take a brief break for a second because my baby was having a meltdown.
It's okay. It happens to the best of us.
So now she's guest starring, so if you hear baby noises, it's my baby, and, you know.
Are you sure?
Yes.
We're not your husband?
Her started on true crime early.
I mean, based on everything that you listened to and watched while she was in the womb, I mean...
True. And now that she's out of the womb, my mom was like, we're going to need to stop watching, like, murder shows.
Oh, absolutely not.
We do. Like, once she's old enough to understand, then absolutely.
It's actually super funny that you bring that up. Jackson and I were having a conversation yesterday on Muggle Problems. Shameless self-promo.
Go check that out.
Yeah, it's where we go talk about Harry Potter and some bullshit. Mostly bullshit, actually. But including how when I was a kid, I was that psychopath that my parents would watch, like, CSI and, like, America's Most Wanted. And I was, like, 5, and I'm, like, eating this shit up. Like, yes, give me more.
I would like it, but I would get really freaked out.
And that's what he said.
I would sleep on their floor.
Amazing.
So they wouldn't let me watch it.
See, I'm just the sick fuck that, like, fell asleep like nobody's business afterwards.
Oh, God.
Nothing has changed.
It's great.
Yeah. So, my potential future children, watch out.
Right. Hey, that's okay.
Yeah.
They'll be strong-willed. Oh, the baby just totally burped.
It was
I hope that we caught that on the recording.
I hope so, too. When I play it back, I'll see if I can, like, isolate that.
Right. Please do. Make it loud.
Done.
Loud and proud.
Loud and proud.
Anyways, continue.
So, where was I? Okay, so, he probably definitely didn't run away with Susan Powell.
Yeah, probably definitely.
And, his disappearance is actually also, featured on an episode of the ID show Disappeared.
Oh, I've been watching that, actually.
I haven't seen it, but I mean, I've heard great things, so.
It's on Hulu. I just kind of put it on, like, sometimes when I'm just doing stuff.
Just bopping around and living your truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so just a little bit of background on him. He was born in 1979 in Amarillo, Texas. He was one of 4 children of Rolf and Deanne Kocher. He was an active Boy Scout, eventually becoming an Eagle Scout, which honestly is, like, a lot of fucking work. So, like, I don't know. I have a lot of respect for people that have, like, become Eagle Scouts.
Yeah.
I mean, except for the fact that they're, like, probably giant nerds. But I mean, like, so am I. But
right.
I can't really judge that. Way. But, like, that's, like, a lot of, like, time and dedication and, like, camping trips.
Yeah.
That I would never do.
Nope, same.
Hard pass.
100%.
So after he graduated from Amarillo High School in 1998, Kocher, a devout Mormon, attended first Ricks College, which is now BYU, Idaho, and later transferred to the University of Utah, where he received a degree in communications. He did missionary work in Brazil and learned to speak Portuguese. After college, he interned at the state governor's office for about 9 months. A year and a half after that, he went to work for the Davis County Clipper, a Bountiful-based biweekly newspaper edited by his father. He remained there for another year and a half and wrote some articles that received awards from the Utah Press Association. So,
okay,
smart dude, well read and written, I would assume.
Yeah.
In 2007, he began working for the Salt Lake Tribune as part of their digital advertising division. He liked the work, and according to his father, but he didn't like doing the overnight shift. The many temperature inversions in Salt Lake area that winter also bothered him, so after a year he decided to leave that job at the newspaper and relocate to St. George in the warmer southwestern portion of the state. At first, he had to work with another internet advising firm, Matchbin. I've never heard of that. It's probably very tiny. It's probably huge, and I'm just a fucking idiot.
No, I've never heard of it either.
But I also don't really know a lot about internet advertising firms, to be frank.
Same.
But that employment ended soon after he relocated. With the Great Recession underway, it was difficult for him to find a new job. He was eventually able to find some work for a local window washing firm, handing out flyers for it. That's actually really fucking sad.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, like you become this, like, you know, writer and like you work in digital advertising, and then you literally hand out flyers.
Yeah. That happened to a lot of people when the recession hit.
Fucking A. So this didn't provide him enough income to meet his expenses, and by November of 2009, he was several months behind on his rent. Greg Webb, the Singles Ward president, claims that the local electric utility was threatening to terminate his power for non-payment, although his mother says that it would have been the landlord's responsibility to do that, so he was actively seeking other employment using connections from the local ward where he had volunteered. So, now we're getting into the good shit. Well,
not good, but yeah, the interesting shit.
Yeah. I was like, I felt kind of shitty saying that.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, the interesting shit.
That's why when I text you now, I don't say, oh, I have a good murder, because I feel disrespectful. I say, oh, I have an interesting one.
Right?
I'm trying to be purposeful with my words now.
I like that. Speak with intention.
Yes.
So on December 10th of 2009, he apparently leaves St. George in the early morning hours and drove his 2003 Chevy Cavalier 300 miles north on Interstate 15 to Salt Lake City, where he bought some gas with a debit card. He then traveled west on Interstate 80, another 125 miles, to West Wendover, Nevada, where he again pulled off the highway to refuel. After that, he continued another 100 miles to the Ruby Valley Ranch off of owned by the Neff family. Kocher had in the past dated Anne Marie Neff and visited the ranch. He told her parents, who had not been expecting him, that he thought he would stop in to see her, but she wasn't there. The family invited him over to have lunch anyways. He told them that he was on his way to visit family in Sacramento, California, but was not certain whether he could continue in that direction due to the bad weather. After about 2 hours, he leaves and decided to return to St. George the way he had come, stopping to buy gas again in Salt Lake City and then again in Springville, followed by dinner at Neffy Taco Time.
Interesting. What year was this?
2009.
Okay.
By the time Kocher returned home, he had driven nearly 1,100 miles. So this is that day.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's
during
so
the day,
random.
I know. Like, he starts in St. George, goes to all these places, spends probably way too much fucking money on gas.
I'm sure.
And then says, fuck it, and goes home.
I'm good. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. Well, especially, like, in 2008, that's when, like, gas started, like, hiking the fuck up, too.
Yeah.
Or 2009, excuse me.
Yeah.
And then it never went back down.
Nope. Especially not here.
No. I'm sure it was probably, like, not quite as bad in Utah, but, like, nonetheless.
But, yeah.
So during the day, he had talked with his mother on the phone. They had discussed plans for him returning to the family's bountiful home for Christmas. Deanne had said that he had seemed upbeat about the upcoming holidays and his job prospects despite his financial difficulties that he was having. He did not tell her of the road trip that he was going on that day. The next day, while handing out flyers for his employer, he encountered two young girls that had inadvertently been locked out of their family's apartment. Learning of their plight, he tried to call their mother. When she didn't answer, he looked for someone in the neighborhood who could help take them in temporarily until someone arrived who could let them into the apartment. At some time that day, he spoke with his ward's bishop, who had described his mood as positive. The bishop was also trying to help him and had promised Kocher that he would have a job available by the beginning of the next year. On December 12th, he hit the road again. That morning, his phone pinged at a cell tower near Overton, Nevada, at the north end of Lake Mead. In the evening, he bought gas and snacks at a convenience store in Mesquite, Nevada, just along I-15 over the Arizona state line. Why he went to Nevada that day is unknown. 3 hours after he had made his purchases in Mesquite, he bought a baby's bib and cookies, believed to be Christmas gifts for his brother and his family. And those names he had drawn on the family's Christmas gift exchange thing.
Okay.
So they probably did one of those things where it's like you just buy for one person.
Yeah, makes sense.
And this purchase happened at a Kmart just outside of St. George. So again, he like makes this big circle all the way back to St. George.
That's so weird.
Very weird. So a neighbor of Kocher's recalled seeing him return to his apartment around 10 p.m. A half hour later, he leaves again. While he was not seen to return later that night, it was possible that he could have. The next morning on December 13th, his employer had called Kocher saying that he was on his way back from Las Vegas and feared that he might not make it to St. George in time for an 11 a.m. church service, asking if Kocher could lead it in his absence. He said he, too, was in the Las Vegas area, 150 miles away, but could return home if he needed to. Webb said don't worry about it and that he would just try to get back in time instead. Another ward member called again later that morning with a similar request, which they dropped when Kocher said that he was near Las Vegas. Neither he nor Webb asked Kocher why he had gone to Vegas that morning and found nothing unusual about the conversations with him. At 11:54 a.m., a home security camera on the Savannah Springs Avenue in Sun City, Nevada, a retirement community in Anthem, records Kocher's Cavalier driving past it due to the cul-de-sac where it was later found. 6 minutes later, a figure that seems to be Kocher, at least his family is pretty sure it's him after reviewing the footage. He was wearing a white t-shirt and slacks, walks the opposite direction down the sidewalk, carrying something in one hand that looks like it might be a file folder or a portfolio. Shortly afterwards, another security camera in a garage on the adjacent Evening Light Street caught his reflection as he walked north. He's never been seen since. His phone remains active, though. Around 5 p.m. that day, it pings in a tower at the intersection of Arroyo Grande Boulevard and American Pacific Drive, more than 10 miles northeast of where his car was parked. 2 hours later, it pinged at another tower near Henderson's Whitney Ranch subdivision, 2 miles north of the previous ping. Early the next day, the phone pinged at a tower at the interchange between Interstate 515 and U.S. Route 93 and Russell Road, 2 more miles north.
Weird.
So this is now 14 miles away from where his car is.
Huh.
His landlord sent him a text message, and then an hour later, it was used to check his voicemail. The phone remained in that tower's vicinity for the next 2 days, suggesting that its battery had died, and there's been no activity since. A day since the last cell phone ping, Sun City's Homeowners Association parking enforcement took note of the car at the end of Savannah Springs cul-de-sac and tried to find the owner. Through the windows, they saw that one of the flyers that he had been distributing for the window washing company, and they called the number on it. Eventually, they spoke with the owner, who gave them Kocher's cell phone number, where they left a voicemail. Later, they called his mother, and she returned their call on December 17th, so 4 days later. Mm-hmm. And then, realizing that no one else in the family had talked to him in about a week, and nobody was able to locate him, they reported him missing. Kocher's brother and sister drove to St. George from Salt Lake City to start searching for him. His family went to jails, morgues, and hospitals in the Las Vegas area to search for him. At one point, when employees of the International House of Pancakes told him that a man fitting his description had eaten there for 3 weeks straight, they themselves ate there for 4 nights, so they could try to find him.
Wow, yeah.
Another employee eventually gave them a more detailed description of the man and his eating habits, which led his family to conclude that this was not actually Stephen.
Oh.
Which is actually really fucking upsetting.
Yeah.
The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police canvassed houses in the neighborhood where his car had been parked. With the help of volunteers, they used helicopters, ATVs, and dogs. By Christmas, the media in Salt Lake City and Vegas had been reporting the story. A local dairy put his picture on milk cartons, and the Las Vegas police put a video with information on the case on its YouTube channel. Which, I didn't know that was a thing. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, I didn't either.
In April of 2010, another party of searchers scoured the open desert south of the Henderson Executive Airport to the west of where he had parked his car in response to a tip passed along to a former police officer who had been working as a PI for the family. A group of about 70 covered about a half-mile stretch in 2 hours. Bone fragments were found, but they were not human. Stephen's father died in February of 2011 after a brief illness that might have been toxic shock syndrome. He had, with his wife and family, recently finished filming an episode of the ID show Disappeared about Stephen's case that aired 2 months after his death. A cousin of the Kochers started a Facebook page devoted to the case. It generated not only some tips, but some suggestions how to investigate further. Members of Web Sleuths also took up the case. They assembled a timeline of events in the case based on newspaper accounts and social media posts by friends and family. In 2015, a local search and rescue group organized another effort, this time going up the hills south of Anthem on a different theory of what Kocher might have been doing. They never found anything. It says at the time that he might have gone to Henderson that morning for a job opportunity. Despite the odd location where he had parked his car, on the video, the neatly dressed Kocher is walking purposefully, suggesting that he knew where he was going and what he was going there for. He didn't look confused or dazed, his brother had said in 2018. Beyond that, there's no evidence to suggest what happens afterwards, nor has anything emerged subsequently which could. Quote, we know about as much as we do. Oh, Jesus Christ, I can't read. We know about as much now as we did the second we realized that he was gone, said the St. George police in 2018. Kocher's difficulties notwithstanding, his family does not believe that he chose to voluntarily disappear in order to escape them or take his own life. His mom said that in her last conversation with him on December 10th, he was optimistic about his ability to find another job, and the two were making plans for his Christmas visit home. His car and its contents also suggest that he had intended to return home to St. George. His dad said that his car was in working order and that the gas tank was about half full when he had reached it on December the 17th after Sun City Parking had called his wife about the car. In the car were the Christmas presents that Stephen had bought for his brother and family at Kmart the previous day, as well as job applications and flyers from his employer that had helped the parking authorities find his parents. At his apartment, his clothing and possessions remained where he had stored them and had not been disturbed or packed. His unusual and mostly unexplained travel in the days leading up to his disappearance has led to suppositions that he might have turned to some sort of illicit activity for income. A drug dog was taken to sniff over his car but didn't alert on anything. Another vehicle seen on the security camera footage driving up and down the street around the time that he had parked his car and walked away from it was investigated and turned out to be a local real estate agent showing a house in the area. Checks of his financial history and phone records turned up nothing unusual aside from the trips. A single charge to his credit card since the disappearance was just an automatic charge made to a web hosting company, GoDaddy, ensuing his days from Matchpin. One unknown phone number turned out to be the family of the two girls that the Kocher had been helping get back inside on the day before he had gone to Vegas. A search of his computer and internet browsing history found nothing unusual. Investigators also checked his browsing history at the St. George Library and found nothing there that had suggested any unexplored leads. He kept a diary but recorded no problems in his life at the time of his disappearance beyond his monetary issues and his ongoing bachelorhood, neither of which that he believed would last much longer. His family doesn't consider his travel to be particularly unusual either. One of the reasons for moving to St. George was to research family history in the area. He often went on tours of cemeteries looking for ancestors' graves. His mother believes that the trips were just his way of keeping himself busy despite his underemployment. There's no evidence to suggest that he was killed or kidnapped. Neither the St. George or Henderson police have found any evidence to eliminate the possibility either. There's nothing that makes us suspicious, says a detective from the former department that he had told the Las Vegas Review-Journal. But at the same time, it's just a strange situation.
Well, I mean,
and then the other
happened to him.
No shit, right? And then the other theory is the connection to Susan Powell's disappearance. So he disappeared almost exactly a week after she was reported missing from her home in Salt Lake City. The latter case received much more media attention as suspicion centered on her husband Josh, with whom she had been having marital difficulties. The night after a neighbor last saw her in the family home, her husband had left her after midnight to take the couple's 2 sons camping in Tulare County.
In a snowstorm, okay? His story is...
Yeah, in the middle of fucking December.
It's bullshit. In Utah, so cold, you're telling me you're going to take 2 little kids out at midnight in a snowstorm to go camping?
So weird.
I'm not buying it. Anyways.
Yeah, hard pass.
Sorry.
You're good. Police officers who came to investigate the next morning after she didn't drop her sons off at daycare forced entry into the home and found 2 fans blowing at a wet spot on the carpet. Early in the Kocher investigation, tips were posted to the internet and brought to the family's attention, suggesting a connection between the 2 disappearances. In 2010, Josh's Powell's family began making those allegations public, claiming on a website that they had set up to find Susan that she had, with her family's help, framed her husband for murder and escaped with Kocher. Stephen Powell, Josh's father, outlined the theory in a February letter to police and FBI agents investigating his daughter-in-law's case. Police also investigated the connection, but have found nothing to support it. A Kocher family friend who in 2011 had taken over managing his Facebook page, he called out the allegations, which came up frequently in post. He said they were all nonsense. Josh Powell moved to Washington, where he died along with the sons in a 2012 murder-suicide. His father, who had been convicted of child pornography and voyeurism afterwards. Oh my god, did you know that? That's wild. I did not know that part. So yeah, he was convicted of those charges, and among other things, explicit pictures he had secretly taken of Susan were found on his computer. He died in 2018, a year after finishing his sentence.
Yeah,
that's bonkers.
He was a hardcore creep.
Yuckers.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't like that at all.
You should hear, like, the recordings he made. Like, he would record her without her knowing, and, like, it was just, he's a creep. Anyways.
That absolutely makes me want to barf.
Recap, but yeah. I don't buy that they ran off together at all.
No.
I remember because they do mention his case in her stuff, too. But I just really don't buy it.
No, like I said, there's, like, literally nothing that supports it. It's just kind of, like, one of those things where, like, they were physically close together, and it happened around the same time. So, like, I can see where people can, like, draw that conclusion.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't really make sense.
Nah.
Especially because Josh Powell's just a piece of shit.
Yeah. That's so weird. But, I mean, it's probably, like, a really logical explanation. Like you said, if he's down on his luck, maybe he was doing something illegal.
Yeah.
And maybe it just, I don't know, something went wrong and he got murdered and it wasn't, you know?
Yeah, or, like, maybe... Well, because, like, if he was going to a job interview, because it said, like, he had, like, a file folder or, like, a portfolio with him.
Yeah.
Maybe he got, like, jumped or some shit.
Yeah.
Or, like,
Vegas,
an attempted robbery and then just got murdered and dumped somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing's wild. And it's
really
been,
is.
like, almost just over 10 years to the day.
Dang.
Yeah, that's why I picked it, because I was like, oh, weird. Like, that's, like, very close. Because today's, like,
weird.
As we're recording this, it's the 15th? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was my case for the week.
All right.
And now, before we get to you, we're going to take a little breaky break and have a word from our sponsor.
Yes.
And we're going to insert that now. Sometimes researching our cases for the week and watching true crime documentaries can really bum us out, and we need a little bit of a break. And our favorite way to get a quick mental recharge is by playing a 5-star rated puzzle game called Best Fiends.
It's a super fun, mentally challenging, and stimulating puzzle game that's free to download and has over 100 million downloads. The best thing about Best Fiends is that it's a casual game that you can pick up and play for a few minutes at a time or longer once you're hooked like we are. I've been playing it while I'm feeding the baby, and it's nice to have something to stimulate my brain instead of mindlessly scrolling through my phone. Plus, I like all of the cute characters.
Yeah, we've only been playing for a few days now, and I'm already over 100 levels in.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wish I had known about Best Fiends when I used to commute over 2 hours a day on the train to and from work, since it doesn't require any internet to play, and I think we both know that train internet is not good.
Nope.
And they're also constantly adding updates to the game, such as new levels and challenges, so you're not playing the same exact levels over and over again.
If you want to join us and engage your brain with fun puzzles and collect tons of cute characters, trust me, with over 100 million downloads, this 5-star rated mobile puzzle game is a must-play.
Go download Best Fiends free on the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. That's friends without the R, Best Fiends. We are back. Hope y'all enjoyed that.
All right. Yes.
And make sure you check out that app.
Yes, do it. It's fun. All right, so I'm going to start with something. It was in the news actually this week. So on October 1st, 1976, a 17-year-old boy found a hand protruding from the sand behind a pumping station at Lake Merced in San Francisco. He had been digging for turtle eggs when he made that gruesome discovery.
Oh my!
Do you know where that is? You said
Well, I said because just finding a hand in the sand, yuckers.
Could you imagine? Yeah. Ugh. And okay, so the body was placed in a shallow grave, likely between 2 and 6 weeks before she was found. Investigators eventually determined that the victim was a young Asian female, but likely between the ages of 14 and 20. Her remains were found with very distinctive jewelry. She was wearing a gold chain owl pendant, or she had a gold chain owl pendant, and it was found in her pocket. And I think she had a really nice watch too.
Makes one of us.
They determined that she had been strangled to death. But despite the distinct jewelry that she had been found with, they never identified her until this week.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, so 43 years later.
Oh my God.
Investigators were searching through missing persons cases when they identified a report made in 2017 by William Shin. Now, William Shin, he reported this young woman missing, and he said that he had always remembered having a sister as a child, but he never knew what happened to her, so he reported her missing. He said
40 years later?
He told the investigators, yeah. This is so weird. So he tells investigators his sister went missing when she was 14, and the family hadn't heard from her since then, since 1976.
Did they never fucking look for her?
Right. It's so weird.
Or they're like, oh, well, later days, she just never came home. Who cares?
Yeah. Well,
I guess you're getting to that.
Yes. The San Francisco police worked with New Jersey State Police to collect DNA from who they thought was her aunt. And the DNA did confirm that the Jane Doe was actually Judy Gifford, William's half-sister. She was 14 when she went missing. She was originally from New Jersey as well. Her aunt, Oji, provided pictures of Judy in which she was wearing the owl pendant that was found with her body, so they knew.
Wild.
Judy had moved to San Francisco in 1976 to live with her dad, his wife, and 2 of her half-siblings, including William Shin, who had reported her missing, and he was only 6 years old at the time.
Damn.
Okay, so he was really young.
Right.
The family lived in Park Merced, where she was found. When Judy disappeared, William was told that she had returned to live with her Aunt Oji in New Jersey.
What the fuck?
However, years later, when Shin actually visited his aunt, she was like, no, she never came back here. Like, I haven't seen her since she moved there.
Wait, so who told him that she moved?
His dad.
So, her dad?
Yeah. Her dad. Their dad.
Huh. I don't like that.
No, I don't like that either. That's kind of like what I was thinking. So the remains haven't been identified, but the police it's like an open investigation. They're working to figure out, now they know who she is, who killed her. I just think it's really unbelievable that a dad, he obviously lied. Like, they obviously lied about it. Like, they had to have known.
Like, there's definitely some sort of cover-up situation going on.
Right. Because even if she had said, oh, yeah, I'm going to go back to New Jersey, and she just, like, dipped on her own, which she was 14.
So she had, like no means to do that.
Right.
Probably.
And, like, he would have had to realize she never made it there. And then in that case, you would report her as a missing person and not just say, oh, she moved back to New... Like, there's no way he didn't know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just think that that's really... really unbelievable.
Color me Shooketh. What the?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I don't even know what to say. So that was information from the San Francisco Chronicle by Lauren Hernandez. There's not obviously as much information out there, and there's some differing reports, like with little tiny details that are kind of different.
Right.
But since it's a new story, we'll just have to see. But I feel like, I don't know, but I would hate to say her dad had something to do with it, but I have a hard time believing that he didn't know something.
Someone in that household definitely knows something, and he was just like, yeah, she totally moved back with her aunt. Weird.
Right? So...
But, like, oh my God, like, I just don't understand. So, this guy, William, the half-brother.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And there were other half-siblings as well.
Yeah, they were just told this, and they're like, yeah, okay. And then for 40 years didn't give a shit?
The fact that he says, but what he said, what struck me is he says, I always thought I had a sister. But, like, it's like he forgot because he was young. Like, I mean, how much do you really remember from when you were 6 or 7? If she wasn't there that long, then, and, like, obviously her dad stopped talking about her.
Yeah, because he's trying to cover up some bullshit.
Yeah. So, like, if he wasn't sure he had a sister, to me that says that it was kind of like, yeah, she left and then she wasn't mentioned anymore.
Yeah, and, like, I wonder if, like, when she first came, if she was, like, introduced as his sister. You know what I mean? Because, like, I feel like I've seen that on, like, shows or, like, read about it in books and stuff where they're like, oh, like, this is, like, your cousin or whatever, and, like, they're, like, actually, like, more related or not related at all. You know what I mean? Like, some, like, twisty, weird shit.
Yeah, I don't know, because they didn't take his DNA to compare.
That's what I think. I feel like that's weird to me.
The aunts, so I don't know.
Maybe the aunt's the mom.
Maybe, but they don't mention anything about her mom.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, do we know anything?
Mm-mm.
That's bananas, dude.
Yeah, so it's so sad too, because she's so young, and like when you see her picture, it really hits you. Like, what happened to her?
Yeah, it's fucking sad, dude.
So, yep. That's mine. That's all.
Wow.
That one.
And this happened in the 70s, as you said?
76 is when she went missing.
Well, I guess if you were around San Francisco in the, 76.
Yeah, I mean, that's reasonable.
Or
reasonable
New Jersey.
Or New Jersey.
If you know these people.
It's just really strange.
And is anyone, is there any mention of the dad, like, nowadays? Is he still around?
No. They don't say. I imagine that this case probably is something that they can kind of figure out what happened.
I really hope that there's, like, an update and that, like, you can, like, come back to this in, like, a year and be like...
Yeah, update everybody.
Yeah, that'd be dope as shit.
Hope that they catch the POS who did that to her.
Hell yeah.
Poor baby. But...
Well, that bummer of a note. Do you have anything fun and fresh to share?
Not really.
Other than rewatching The Jinx?
Yeah, I rewatched The Jinx today.
Did you watch all of it?
Yeah, I fell asleep for a little bit, or I tried to anyways. Because I'm tired. My baby was up all night last night. She was killing me. Yeah, I watched some really interesting shows for our screen recap, so I'm not really going to go into too much detail because we will be talking about those.
Right. Do we want to tease what we're going to be talking about in the next, like, month and a half?
Yeah, so our first one is going to be Lorena. The documentary from is on Amazon Prime about Lorena Bobbitt. And I have a lot to say about it.
I have a lot to say also. I have a lot of feelings.
Yes. And then after that, we're going to do Casting John Bonet, which you can find on Netflix.
Yep.
And then after that, we are going to cover The Jinx, which is an HBO documentary. So if you have Hulu with the HBO add-on, you can watch that too.
Yes, or HBO Go or Now or whatever the hell they're calling it.
Yeah. You can sign up for like a week for free or whatever if you want to, like, it's easily bingeable in a day if you have like a day.
Absolutely. It's pretty short because I think it's 6 parts?
Yeah, it's 6 parts. I mean, and I think they're like maybe 50 minutes each.
Yeah, and I think a couple of them are shorter. Like the last one's only like 35 minutes.
Yeah, so it's easy to watch in a day, and yeah, it's interesting. So if you all want to watch those before we do our screen recaps,
yes,
so you can kind of follow along with what we're talking about.
Totes my goats.
Yeah. What about you?
Nothing like too crazy to report on. Last night we stayed up late and watched Home Alone 2 and Die Hard. Two excellent Christmas classics.
I have never watched Die Hard.
Okay, I've seen
you can't look at me like that because you had never watched Hocus Pocus until like a month ago.
So I've seen maybe like 10 movies in my life, and 8 of them are Harry Potter. And I've seen Die Hard every year for at least the last 5 years.
Fair.
Because it's Zach's favorite Christmas movie.
I should probably watch it. Okay. I know there's a great debate on if it's a Christmas movie.
It's definitely a Christmas movie.
Okay. I've never seen it, so I don't have an opinion.
Okay, great.
Maybe I'll watch it.
You should. I'm sure Wes and Monty would love to watch that with you.
Probably.
Yeah.
Wes is always down. I made him watch that movie Hustlers with Cardi B in it.
Was that
good? No.
I didn't really think it was going to be.
I was so disappointed because I love Cardi and it looked so good and it was not good at all.
Yeah, she's definitely one of my favorite Instagram
looked
follows.
At each other. We were both like, this movie is so long.
Is it really long?
It's not that long. It's an hour and a half,
it just
which
feels
is
long.
Standard, but it feels long. And I'm so glad I didn't waste, $12 going to see that in theaters because I would have been mad.
Well, here's the thing. It's $12 plus snacks, so it's really like $100.
You're not wrong.
No.
We spend a solid like $50 each time we go to the movies.
Oh, for sure. Well, especially like down here, like the movie theater close to us has a bar inside of it.
Oh, nice.
So it's like, we'll get like a beer, a glass of wine, or a margarita.
Yeah. Well, the last time I went to the movies, I was pregnant, so I could not.
Unfortunate.
And I was so uncomfortable. Oh my god.
I'm so sorry. R.I.P.
Dying.
But that's all over now.
It is all over
You have
now.
the end product.
And she's cute.
She real cute. She worth it.
Yeah. She definitely was worth it. The 9 months of misery.
Isn't it more like 10? If we're splitting hairs.
Well, yeah, because I was overdue.
Well, no, because it's 40 weeks is 10 months. I don't know why they fucking say 9 months.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It felt like 10 years, not 10 months. I'm just kidding. It wasn't that bad. I complained a lot because it's very exhausting, but
yeah,
I'm very grateful for my little ginger peanut. Anyways.
Yes. I watched Die Hard. I don't think anything else other than the documentaries we just mentioned.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd consider Casting John Bonet really a documentary, but...
Nope. I have some thoughts about it, but we'll save it.
Yeah. Nonetheless.
So this was Hot for Justice, and thanks for listening.
Exactly. We'll be back at you next week with some other disappearances and or murders.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you then.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye.